No. Just to make them feel awkward for asking. I know I'm not ugly.
I feel so bad about it every time.
It was funny, though.
But not you two.
Because I'm smart.
Fun, too, when it's a collaborative effort.
There's the word. The Titans were, what their purpose was, why they existed, what the walls were, what was in the basement, what was,
Would change it if I did it. And they were like, great, we got the take. I was like, wait, I wasn't even acting. What are we doing here?
Ended up being about everything but Attack on Titan.
Now, coverage like no other. Bringing you videos from the event floor. You're watching convention coverage.
So, yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know me, especially gentlemen there, my name's Joe.
for having us.
I am the moderator, therefore I moderate.
I love your tie.
Carly Liano makes my ties. She's down in the vendor hall.
That's really awesome.
She makes all my cool ties.
That's awesome.
This is my Mario Brothers tie. So,
Is there a Titan tie?
huh?
Is there a Titan tie?
I bet there could be one.
Could be a Titan tie.
That's the trick, though. You've got to find her the fabric to do it. It took me like 2 years to find Transformers fabric.
So for Titan, you need human flesh, obviously.
Yeah, sadly.
Easy.
Yeah.
I'll find it. It's fine.
There's plenty around.
There's human flesh everywhere. Just have to find a willing donor. You can't tell, but I'm smiling through this mask. This is so I'm all about wearing the masks now, and even once life has gone back to normal and the is over, I'm still going to wear this, and if people give me crap for it, I'm going to be because I'm ugly.
Oh.
No. Just to make them feel awkward for asking. I know I'm not ugly. I'm from Texas, y'all. People are like, why are you wearing a mask? Because I'm smart.
Because I'm educated. It's just
Science! Sorry, but this is... Josh and I go way back. We will ramble. This panel will end up being about everything but Attack on Titan.
We're just gonna shoot the at this point. Pretty much. Yeah, right.
So how's the last 2 years been for you?
Oh my goodness, you know how it is. Just
You guys all just sit there. They'll
We have not seen each other since the began because we were we lived on opposite sides of the Metroplex back home in Dallas, and I have since moved to LA, where I live now. Oh, you clap. You haven't lived there.
They do.
Why are you clapping? I'm kidding. No, it's I love it. The transition has been a very positive one for me. But I'm just, I feel like the true test of whether you live in LA is whether or not you can complain about it. But no, so I haven't seen most of my colleagues here this weekend. I haven't seen in almost 2 years because we haven't, most of us only see each other at cons. And it's like, we miss you. Oh my God, it's so great to be back and see you again. You look great, Alana. So we're like, it's been a very emotional morning for most of us. We're like, Monica, oh, Colleen, oh my God, Alexis. Like
And everybody asking, wait, are we hugging? Are we cool?
Are we hugging? Are we
doing that dance,
everyone. It's funny to watch the looks on the faces of the hotel staff. They're like, what the hell is going on?
Dude, when we got to the airport, I'm pretty sure half the people on the plane that just saw us hugging before we got on the plane this morning were just like, what is up with those people? Stay away from them. That is
Especially because 9 or 10 of you were on the same flight?
Yeah.
That was a party flight. The flight attendants were like, these must be actors.
Our flight went plus ultra pretty quick.
Do you remember the time? Sorry. We're just recollecting now. I'm so sorry.
This is your panel. You do what you want.
We have the power, Josh. We can make this whatever we want.
I'm only here to control them.
The last mistake you'll ever made. Give us microphones.
Fine irony.
Josh and I have done a lot of traveling together, especially back in the day, and it doesn't feel like a trip unless we've made either airport security or flight attendants go, are you actors?
Are you actors? Like, what's up
happened.
with you? Are you... Okay.
We were sitting on a plane once, and we had, oh God, do you remember?
I feel so bad about it every time.
It was funny, though. It wasn't that bad.
I was a jerk.
It wasn't that bad. We had a flight attendant who was giving the safety lecture on the intercom or the PA system. And for those of you that have flown before, you know there's flight attendants who get way too excited about it, and there's those that couldn't care less if you live or die. And this flight attendant was the latter, and so she got on there, and she was like, she was tired, clearly had worked a long shift, and was just over it, having to explain to adults how to click their seatbelts. And so she was reading off the copy they give her to say, but she was taking weird pauses. So she'd be like, "Thank you for traveling with us today. We're gonna, if you could just put the metal flap into the buckle," and she just kept doing that, and we kind of fell into a rhythm. We're like, I love the way she's doing this. I want to copy her delivery. It's hilarious. And so we were visually sitting next to each other, being like,
And then breathing in time with her.
And like basically mouthing along, because we've flown so much, we can do the safety lecture
In the event
ourselves.
of a
And then we
water
realized
landing.
she was right behind us and could see the whole thing.
Yeah. One point we look back and she's just looking at us. She didn't break at all, too, which was the best part. And she just started staring at us like, in the event of a water landing, your seat can be used as a flotation device. And at one point I was sitting there for going like, but not you two.
Yeah, it was like, please put the oxygen mask around your face. Your face. Like, it was very personal at that point. But it's wonderful. We got a great performance out of her.
Indeed. I feel like we were directors in that moment. We helped her improve.
We were like,
you know,
yeah, just can we come back here one more time and really let me feel the lack of empathy.
Let me feel the absolute boredom and the fact that you've given up on everything.
My favorite flight attendant was a very effervescent gentleman with and which is my preferred airline because they're on time. Unfortunate name now, but it's a great airline. He would just get on there and he'd like just talk throughout the entire flight, just like, hey, everyone doing okay? Cool. Raise your hands if you're doing okay. Like, put your hands in the air. We're like, I love this guy. And when we landed and we're taxiing to the gate, which takes about 20 minutes at this airport because it was huge, he was just talking to us about thanks for flying with us, local time, blah, 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 blah. And when he did the spiel with like, we love to fly and it shows. And he's ended with that. And he was like, thank you for flying. We love to fly and it shows. Pause. Thank you for flying. We love to fly and it shows. Pause. Thank you for flying. We love to fly and it shows. And he kept doing that for 20 minutes until we pull up to the gate. We're like, and he was like, thank you for flying. We love to fly and it shows. And everyone was just dying laughing. This guy would not stop. It was great. That's what I want in a flight attendant. Anyway.
Make work fun, always, if you can.
So now that we've been funny, let's talk about death and dying and
walls
and violence.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to come out here. It's a great honor to meet all of you. My question would be for the voice actor of Armin, what was your favorite arc to record?
Jeez. Before he was completely broken was a great arc.
Define broken.
Young. I feel like first season Armin had a lot like when we were just starting to get to know Armin and we hadn't he hadn't figured himself out yet, and he hadn't had an opportunity to believe in himself yet. Like he hadn't found that courage and that confidence or anything yet. But then once he found that, he also started having a big problem with a lot of the ethical and the moral things that were happening inside the walls, and as he learned more, it became more and more about that. But I feel like the first season he had a more complete arc, or maybe over the first 2 seasons the most. He had a really interesting character arc in starting off as just being young little Armin, and then essentially becoming a very almost indisposable member of the Scouts, and most of it because of Erwin kind of seeing a lot in him and being like, I feel like you have potential, and like really kind of pushing him into certain situations and thinking in certain ways. So yeah, that when we're really kind of getting to know Armin was a lot of fun to record.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, so something I unfortunately had to be humiliated into learning out of my last voice acting class was that it's very hard to teach in a one-time class, especially with a lot of other people, how to play a character for extended periods of time, even if it's just for 1 hour's long session or throughout or if you're a recurring character. So I just wanted to know what, and especially if you don't have a lot of time beforehand to have a lot of information about your character in advance, and when new things happen, it's like, okay, do it now, just do it. And so I just wonder, what aspect of your character do you tend to focus on the most when you're in so many changing environments? And
What a great question. Yeah. That's a very thoughtful question, actually. That's precisely the sort of question I love, because I teach as well, and I teach acting, and I try to and voice acting, as you mentioned, especially what we do, is very challenging. It's a very challenging form of the craft because we don't have there's no rehearsal. We don't get access to the scripts ahead of time. It's essentially a form of improv with scripted dialogue. And so you really have to kind of hit the ground running, and you don't have a lot of time. The director doesn't have the luxury of time to kind of finesse the context for you and be like, here's what's going on, here's your history. So you really have to be, very outward directed as an actor and not try to think about in terms of, am I playing the character correctly? I find that when the character is taking an action, and there's plenty of that in Attack on Titan, the character's not worried about who they are. They're worried about getting the thing done. Or what they want out of the person they're speaking to, or what's the objective ahead of time, not, is this me? I had an acting coach tell me, and it was just a great example, he's like, so many actors waste time. Say if you're on stage and you have to like pick up this bottle of water, and it's essential, it's in the script, you have to take that action, and so many actors will be like, how would my character pick up this bottle of water? Yeah. And he's like, did you have to remind yourself that you're Michael when you pick up the bottle? I'm Michael, I'm now Michael picking up a bottle. No, I just pick up the bottle of water, and it becomes what the character does because I'm playing the character. And I'm going to get kind of weird philosophical here, but I don't think that character exists for the actor. It's just you in a new story, and that the pressures of that particular situation bring out facets of your personality that maybe you don't identify with very much because they don't come out very often, right? But I'm not thinking about who is this person that I'm playing. The person isn't thinking, like especially in Titan, no one has any time to think about who they are. That's part of their tragedy. It's all about survival. It's all about surviving one more day.
I had all kinds of time to think about who I am in Titan.
David Matranga, everybody.
Hello.
So to answer your question, in to sort of bring it home, is I find the more information I have going into a scene, the harder it is to act, because I give myself a lot of boxes to check. I overthink it. I'll be like, oh, would I say it this way? Could I say it this way? So the less I have, the more I can focus on just what's right in front of me, and then I just react to that. Acting is reacting, and it takes a long time to get comfortable with that. Every actor will tell you, like the larger share of their journey into acting is learning how to just let go of what they want the scene to be and to just be real with it. It's kind of like learning how to, just do what you do every day, but pretend like no one's watching. The pretending like no one's watching part, that's the hard bit. And it takes experience, it takes time. You can't do it in just 1 or 2 workshops. I mean, I teach workshops, and I still take workshops. I workshop every week if I have the chance, whether it's in Zoom or physical workshops, because it's a constant work in process. It's like any other activity. It's like going to the gym. If you stop doing it for a while, you can't go right back into it the way you did before. You have to build up the muscle or the muscle memory, and it's the same thing with acting. You always have to keep in practice. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I tend to ramble a lot, especially when the subject is acting, because I'm very passionate about what we do.
Same.
Yay.
But yeah.
Kind of like you nailed it, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, covered all the bases.
See, and I improvised all of that. Thank you for your question. That was really, really good.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Atlas. Lovely to meet you guys. You guys are literally like my favorite voice actors, so I feel like I'm in front of living legends right now.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
You're saying everything right. I just want you to know.
Oh yes, I'm
You're
here to
nailing
be a
this
flatterer,
interview.
like all the flattery.
You also have great taste in Titan characters.
Oh,
Ah, yes.
Hanji Zoe on her T-shirt.
Hanji Zoe for the win. So Josh Grelle.
Yes, ma'am. Atlas.
Atlas, yes. I am also non-binary.
Oh, you're on. I apologize.
And you are someone who I look up to so much, and all of your voice acting, like every single role, like I felt so connected to, and especially Armin.
Okay.
Especially Armin.
Yeah?
And Zen. I don't know if you remember Snow White with the red hair.
Snow White with the red hair, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
But-
Relationship goals, that show.
Oh,
Yeah.
me and my partner.
Yeah?
Low-key trying to cosplay them like last minute.
Oh, really? Oh, so are you Shiryuki right now with the red hair? Yeah, that's awesome. You look great.
It's fantastic. So I was specifically wondering, like Armin is also kind of one of those like gender queer characters, I feel, and I was
okay.
wondering if that was something that like as a non-binary voice actor that you were like bringing into the role at all, or if that's something that like you've done, because I mean that representation is so important, and I mean you alone as a voice actor is like
Right.
it's everything.
For Armin, I don't know. I didn't necessarily get that sense from him like I would from a character like, like Kuranosuke from Princess Jellyfish, for example, or something like that. Or kind of Yuri Kotsky. Like, Yuri doesn't necessarily have that full, like, but he does, like, for his performance, for like who he is as an artist, he likes to embrace his femininity. So, like, but Armin never really seemed, like, he definitely wasn't like he didn't aspire to or try to be or even claim to be any form of like the big masculine man that you're supposed to be, like as a soldier or whatever like that. But like, I never really got the non-binary would probably actually be a better what's the word I'm looking for? A better, like, what his gender role would probably closer resemble, because he's much more of a caring and a nurturing person, but he doesn't go like fully maternal. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of like, I never really felt while I was recording him, kind of that was anything that was overtly trying to be portrayed or anything like that, like with Yuri or like with Kuranosuke. But I can absolutely see how that could be there.
Okay, so you put that into Yuri, is what I'm hearing.
I put that into Yuri for sure.
You know what? It's okay. I project onto that character.
Okay,
too.
awesome.
Okay, thank you all.
Yo, you absolutely.
Thank
Thank you, Atlas.
Nice to meet you, Alex.
Hope y'all have a great weekend.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
So my question specifically is actually for JMT. So
That sounds like
you
a
expect
news
me to say your
network.
name every single time. Come on. Yeah, so you've been working for pretty much as long as I've been watching anime. So and you've script adapted, acted, directed. You've done all of that. Do you ever think, like, when you're in the booth, and your husband's a translator, I think, as well, so I'm sure you know a little bit of Japanese even.
Just enough to get myself in trouble, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Are you ever like in the booth, and obviously you're never gonna say this out loud, but are you ever thinking, well, I wouldn't have written that line like that? Does it? You wouldn't say that to the person's face, but you ever like,
No, and
that's
And
not
he won't
exactly
say it now. And he won't say it now either.
There are a couple
And then
times I
he
thought
never got a
Matranga could have
job
done a
ever
better
again.
job, but no, I'm because most of us wear a lot of hats because it's how you have to make a living in this business. There's no one income stream. So I started writing because it was a good way to support myself as a writer, and then directed because it was a good way to support myself as an actor. But I learned very quickly to compartmentalize and to be like, if I direct, because I've met directors who are also actors, and they're fine actors, but they have trouble taking direction because they can't turn off their director brain when they're in the booth as an actor. And likewise, writers who can't turn off their writer brain, and they don't like how a line is written because it's not what they would have done. And I'm just like, I had to let go of that. And I had some issues in my early days where I'm like, can I rewrite this line? And it took a director going like, no, it's not your job. I've hired you as an actor. I want an actor. If I wanted a writer, I would have hired you as a writer. And I'm like, fair. So I think division of labor is really important, because I think as an artist, and what we do is art, and you can't tell me differently, it's very important to understand it's all collaborative, and so there shouldn't be just one voice involved. So if I have trouble with a line because that's not how I would have written it, no, it's not my job. As an actor, it's my job to breathe life into the line as written. And if the director wants to change it, then that's their prerogative, but I have to just kind of shut my mouth and go with it. And I think some of my best performances have come from dialogue that I wouldn't have written that way. And I'm like, that's not how I would have written it, but challenge accepted, and I go for it, and it just brings something interesting out of me because there's kind of a conflict with it. And I think there's always a conflict in every line of dialogue, whether it's subtextual or otherwise. So I guess the short answer is no, I don't, because I turn off, if I'm acting, I turn off my writer brain and my director brain. Likewise, if I'm doing, whatever I'm doing, I've got to stay focused. And if I try to spin too many plates, then, man, I'm the only one driving, and that should never be the case. This is way too big a bus for only one person to be driving at any time.
I also think it depends. I know you didn't ask me this specifically, but like
Anyone can chime
it depends
in,
on, if you have a good relationship with the director, and I think most adaptive writers know that sometimes things have to be tweaked, and not the meaning of the line, but tweaked for timing or whatever. And depending on the relationship that you have with the director, it can be sort of a collaborative experience. Like Tatum said, sometimes if we're working on something, Colleen and I have worked together for a while, and we'll feel like, oh, let's reword this in some way. And sometimes, and I know, Josh, you've had, sometimes we do give input, but it's not ever like, oh, that's not good, we should redo this, But that's when it becomes fun, too, when it's a collaborative effort. But you have to also know when to step back into your role, I mean, even in collaboration.
So discipline?
Yeah, definitely discipline.
There's
yeah,
the word.
yeah, for sure. But the collaboration is fun.
It is. It is. It's my favorite part about doing it. I mean, basically, even if I never watch the show that we do, and sometimes that's the case. I may not be the audience for the show that I'm working on, but that doesn't mean I don't have a job to do, and I'm going to take that job very seriously and do the best job I can to bring it to the audience it is meant for. But I still have fun. I mean, we're basically entertaining people with friends all day. Like, it's one of the best jobs in the world. I love it. So I don't want to be the only person that I never want to be the person who feels like only my input matters. I always want to be able to metabolize.
That's when art turns bad, when someone has all the power.
It just becomes a vanity project at that point, and it either, if it works, it's usually accidental. But yeah. Another good question. What a smart bunch.
Yeah, well done. Thanks.
Clearly the early birds.
Yeah, totally. Seriously.
Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, too.
Me too.
I have a question, I guess, for all of you, maybe preferably the voice actor of Armin. My sister's in the audience, and you're her favorite.
Yay.
Oh, hi. So, if you could...
Junko! Taking Rappa!
Yes! If you guys could pick any Titan to turn into, which one would you want to turn into?
I think I'd like to turn into the Colossal.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah. What is...
Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to go on the tours anymore. You just see everything at once.
I'd like to turn back
Nansina.
into
Awesome.
the Colossal. I want to turn back into the Colossal.
I don't know. I want to pick the awkward one. Remember, there's a shot where there's the one running down, and he's like, and he like kicks someone.
Yes.
I like that one. I like being the awkward person.
Yeah, I
Maybe
want the
weird
underdog Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the crab one. Like that's a good one too. Like
Where's
I don't know
the
if we,
Titan that they were like, you're not going to work. Get out of here. That's the one I want, Yeah.
I want a fancy Titan. I want a Titan that's weirdly in like a monocle and coattails. And like, why? Where did that come from? And he's
Where's
just
the
like,
dapper
he just
Titan?
walks up
Yeah,
and,
and
like,
he
twists his
he
mustache.
wants to talk first before he,
Yes.
eats you. Yeah.
And he starts every sentence with, "Oh yeah," like
Yes.
that's the Titan I want.
Thank you.
Would you like some tea with your human?
Yeah. Ooh, the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man. That's who I would
There
be
you
as a
go.
Titan.
Now that's the Titan. Where was he?
Where was he? Sorry. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
My question is, if you can choose to voice any other character in the show, what would it be? Or who would it be?
We get so attached. I don't know. I don't mean to speak for everybody, but we get so attached to the characters we do play that we don't really think about who else I want to play. I think most of us in Titan would just have loved to survive. I would love it. I mean, I survived a long time.
Yeah.
I got a lot longer than some people. But yeah, it's when the show starts, we all get the same auditions, and most of us try out for the same characters because you usually audition for multiple characters just to increase your odds of getting cast. And and you might have your heart set on one. You're like, I feel like I just get this character like right out of the gate. I just understand this character, and you maybe don't get it, but you get another part, and you get to hear the actor that they did choose for that character, and it's almost always a friend. So you can't be like, Josh, I really loved you in that role I really wanted for myself. Like you can't.
Right, totally.
That's not a healthy professional relationship. So most of us have trained ourselves to just let go of it. Once you've auditioned, you forget about it. You focus on the part you've gotten. And because if I really like a character, it's because I think the character is fascinating. And so whoever's performing it is gonna grab my interest. And so I forget that I ever wanted it. I see Josh as Armin, or I see Matranga as the bad guy. Nah, not the bad, just misunderstood.
Yes.
He's Bertolt's a great character, and Matranga kills it. So I see my friends and stuff, and I can never be like, I can't even think of doing as good as them, let alone better. So yeah, I'm happy with Erwin.
When I first started acting and acting training, they were like, with auditions, you got to give it your all, 100% invest, and then forget about it, right? And I always used to think like, how am I supposed to forget about it, And now, I totally do. Like, there are things I will watch and I'll be like, oh yeah, right, I auditioned for that. Like, I totally actually forgot about it. because you do so much. You invest in the audition when you're there, when you're doing it. You listen to it, you sign off on it in your own brain if you're doing it at home, and you're done, moving on to the next thing. So yeah, I don't really have an attachment to things, to roles that I've auditioned for where, I wish I could voice that role or something like that. Especially where when I watch stuff, I'm like, oh, these people are great. They're so good for the role. Like it would be weird it would change it if I did it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As acting, and this is such a weird business and such a cutthroat business in many ways that you have to learn to deal with rejection, and it makes you over time, if you've survived long enough in the business, like it makes you very zen. So if it's not right in front of me, I don't think about it.
Right.
Which is good. So yeah, because back in the day, yeah, I mean, if you'd asked me this 20 years ago, my answer would have been like, everyone. I want to play all the characters. Go home. This is my show. Like that's what we want because we're hungry. We want the work.
Sitting there looking, waiting for the emails. Like, did I get the part? Did I get the part?
And
I usually get more attached to opportunities that I haven't done before. Like if it's something that is outside of my normal thing, I get excited for the potential. Even different stuff like auditioning for stuff that isn't voice acting, I will get excited for in a different way just because it's new or I haven't done it in a while or stuff like that.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attack on Titan has been going on for so many years, and it's gone through many twists and turns. But this is more of a general question. What was the journey like from first working on the show and now going close, having the show coming close to an end? What are your feelings and the journey process of that?
I really enjoyed how the show kind of started off with so much mystery, and like I feel like to me that was one of the things that really kind of like made it so appealing was the fact that we could all sit down with each other and theorize about what the what the Titans were, what their purpose was, why they existed, what the walls were, what was in the basement, what was all these things, and like. It was great how, they would answer a couple of questions, new ones would pop up, and it kept going. But slowly, it became less and less about this mystery and more about a statement about parts of the world themselves and the morality. There was just a lot of questions. Like it became this big geopolitical and philosophical thing, and like to see that transformation over the what is it, like 8-9 years now, almost a decade.
Yeah, almost a decade.
Hell of a ride.
8 years.
Really cool for a show to not only last that long with that kind of intrigue, keep that kind of mystery going, but even after the mystery was revealed, they still had something to show us. It was, I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's very rare for actors to get to be part of such a long-lived show. Most shows get 1 season or 2, and then so you're done with it in 6 months as an actor, and then you fondly remember it. But it's interesting. It's such a cool thing to get to play a character that's around for years. I mean, like we've been playing our characters for 8 years now. And so it's really interesting because different parts of the series will you bring yourself into the role, so where you are in your life will kind of be reflected in the performance, whether you mean that to happen or not. So it becomes kind of working on a show that has that many years behind it. It's kind of cool to go back and listen to the first season and you're like, oh wow, I was so young and had no idea what was going on. I got to work on the show as the lead adaptive writer, so I was very close to the material and got to watch all these characters kind of grow and change. One quick story I'll tell because it's one of my favorites in the booth. So Mike McFarlane, the show's dub director, he also plays Jean Kerstein beautifully, I might add, one of my favorite characters in the series. He's one of my oldest, dearest friends, and as a director, I think we can all agree, he is not a terribly effusive gentleman. He's like, that's good, moving on. That's praise. From Mike McFarlane, that's positive praise. Most of the time it's like, nope, gotta be louder. Nope, it's not hurting enough. He's very, and it's the style he adopts specifically for that show because it's a very military, survivalist kind of show. So he's very no nonsense about it, especially when he's directing, Erwin, because Erwin has to be, that's his tone. And when I auditioned for Mike, first of all, I had to deal with him as a director who was overseeing the scripts I'm writing. So I'm like, do you like them? Did I do okay? And he's like, yeah, it'll work. I'm like, yay, yay, that's as good as it's gonna get. And then, and I'd come in, he's like, cool, audition for Erwin. And so I'm getting to audition with a version of his introduction to the Scout speech, which I had adapted. And so I was getting to do it the way I heard it in my head as a writer, and I was hoping and he's like, yep, cool, that's good, you're Erwin. And he told me right there that day, and I was like, I am. And so it was kind of silly and fun, and as we got going, like, Mike is really into this kind of show too, so there'll be moments straight up where he's like, okay, let's just watch this scene where, like, this happens, and, like, this death happens in some really cool way, and he'll turn and Mike will be like, yeah, okay, now let's do it. And so he's really into it, right? And so then along comes season 3, and because I've worked on the show as a writer and read ahead, I know what's coming. Now, I wasn't writing season 3, that was Aaron Dismuke, and what a lovely job he did as a writer. But I knew what was coming. I knew that my character was gonna have his last moment. And I was like, oh, but I didn't know where it was. So anytime I was called in to record, I had no notion of is today the day. I just know it's gonna happen sometime in this season. So I'd come in every day and I'd be like, hi, Mike, is it today? And like, no, get in there. Okay, cool, so we'd do a scene, and then I'd go home. Next week I'd come in, is it today? What? No, get in there, shut up. And very, very much that was kind of the running gag between me and Mike, as I'd come in very pensive and he'd be like, what's wrong with you? You're an actor, get in there. And then the last day I came in, and it was the day, and I knew because I walked in and Mike was like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, it's today, isn't it? He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And we watched the scene, we talked about it. Mike was uncharacteristically, like, serene and calm. He's always calm. He was just very serene and kind of supportive, because he was like, you've been with this character for 7 years. I know how important he is to you, he's important to me, and let's give him a really, really good death. And I was like, let's do it. And I was like crying, and I was like, here we go. And we watched the scene, and I was like, oh my God, that's such a good, I love what they've done with it. And he's like, let's try it. So we did it in 2 takes, and Mike was like, and then there was just this long pause after we stopped. The engineer's waiting for the word from Mike, and Mike goes, we got it. And then I came out of the booth, and he's like, hugs! And we like both cried. We went out to dinner together. He was like, man, what a ride, right? Well, you'd never know that he was that guy from his style of directing. But like Mike gets very emotional about it. He keeps it all inside. Kind of like Erwin. Like I think he put a lot of himself into directing Erwin.
It's a very strange thing when you've lived with a character for so long to then have to perform their death. Like it's weird. Like, or anything emotional like that. I mean, the season 2, I think it was, Bertolt is writing on Rhina. I think Rhina's Titan. Is that the Armored?
That's the Armored.
Yeah. And I mean, he's just like pleading, and they're trying to trap him with Annie and all this stuff. And I mean, it's still. I will sometimes go back and watch that, just to remind myself of that work, because it's some of my proudest. I'm so proud of it. And there's a lot of things in Titan like that, because it's a show where you get to go to the extremes. Almost everyone gets to go to a certain extreme, and you don't always get to do that in certain titles. But and then the second scene is, when Bertolt's on the rooftops, and that whole, his last moments. And watching him, seeing, it's weird because, we see once we do a take, they'll place it and see what works and what doesn't. So you get to hear yourself back. You watch yourself back in those moments, and it's strange. It can be a emotional and traumatic sort of moment.
Surreal.
Yeah.
Saying goodbye to a friend or...
Yeah.
True story. I'm so attached to Erwin that I haven't watched the show since his death because I don't want to know what he doesn't know. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what's in the basement. I still don't know what's in the basement because he didn't get to go. And that may sound cheesy, but it's like I may years from now watch it because it's a damn good show. And
I'm coming back for these flashbacks, and it's like, I want more. I want more flashbacks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What's happening? But yeah, one of the great things about being in a show that long is you do get very emotionally invested because you have so many opportunities to revisit these characters and kind of see them in new situations. So it's not a luxury we get very often in this business.
Honestly, when a show like Attack on Titan gains a following like it has, you also, for me, I should just speak for me, like I'm attached to the character anyway, but then when I see people talk about the character or the show, the impact it has on them, that increases my responsibility to that story. or to be part of telling that story. So it's kind of a cool symbiotic relationship between fandom and what we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys.
Hello.
So my name's Kelly. This is my first con, and
Nice.
Hi Kelly. My friends are over there. They're in the Danganronpa.
Hello, friends.
Cosplayers.
Yay.
Welcome to your first con. There's no going back now. You're stuck.
Yeah.
You're in.
I haven't finished AOT yet, but I just wanted to thank J. Michael Tatum because you've helped me become confident, I guess, in my a romantic orientation, and you know, just made me feel comfortable about the label that I've chosen. So thank you for that.
Good for you. That's good for you. I'm
Thank
proud
you
of
so
you.
much.
It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to do, and I'm delighted that in some small way I contributed to that. But like, I want you to know, just because I have heard something similar to this before, because I'm a very visible gay man. Not just because of my size, but because I'm also like, I'm gay, you know, like I'm very, you know, and I've always been. I mean, it never occurred to me to not. Like, I was just like, the closet I was in had no door. So I was like, might as well come out. But I hear that, and when I hear someone say that, and this applies to anyone that like looks up to an actor or an artist or whatever and feels like, thank you for getting me through a hard time or something, and it's very important. I want to get this across to you. You got through that. I'm happy that I got a role to play in that scenario, and I'm deeply honored. But you did that. That's your strength. That's your journey. You're the hero of that story. Not any of us. Not any of that. So like, that's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Proud of you.
Yeah, rock on.
But yeah. Anyway, so for my question, so I don't want to make this too long, but I have a friend in my high school that I go to who wants to be a voice actor. Her name is Alexis, and I've just been told that voice actors often go through a period of like, oh, I think this character should sound like this, but like over the time of like doing the show or like playing that character, they start to develop into like a new voice for the character, I guess, who like they think that like fits them better. So I was wondering what that journey was like for all of you guys who play the characters.
I just want to say one thing. You're talking about from like the first couple of episodes, the voice that you land on, and then it kind of changes or gets grounded, or you find sort of a different voice.
Exactly.
You know, it's interesting. Like, if you ever, I don't know how many people just watch episodic television, but if it's very similar to if you ever watch the pilot episode of a show. You know, and some pilot, like I'm talking about Breaking Bad. Like, let me just bring that example up. Right, that's some of the best on-camera acting around. Right. I mean, oh my God, I can't even remember his name now.
Bryan Cranston?
Bryan Cranston is like, if you want to know what it is, it's a masterclass in on-camera acting. And I just recently started the show again because I just wanted to. And I'm watching the pilot and I'm like, wow, this pilot is heralded as one of the best pilots of all time, right? Well written, you're immediately in the moment, the stakes are immediately high, everything's happening. And you still see those actors trying to find their thing. Aaron Paul, all of them, they're finding it, right? And then if you watch 6 episodes in, they know who they are a bit more. And I don't think it's necessarily conscious. Like, I mean, unless you're speaking about someone who just makes a drastic change in the voice, but I think it's kind of similar to that, for me at least. Like, you make a choice for a voice pretty quickly. You're right there, you see the character, maybe you've done a little bit of research, maybe you watched the sub, maybe you've done some, like, just Googling, you talk with the director, and you come up with something, and you try it, and you tweak it, and then you land on it. And then I think, like, as everyone's been saying, you live with the character a little bit longer, and then, you know, all of these different nuances start to come out, and, you know, so I think it changes for that reason. And then the last thing I want to say about it, because I always thought this was such an interesting thing as a young actor. I had a great acting teacher tell me that you can't be your character all at once in every moment. Character is created over time in different situations. When you meet me, you only know about my character, of David Matranga, in this setting. If you interacted with me in another setting, you would see a different part of my character. And that means my voice could change. I mean, anything can change. My posture can change. So I always felt a huge responsibility as an actor. Like, that first exit, that first entrance on the stage, or that first voice thing has got to encapsulate the entire character. And yeah, you got to have some choices there, but you don't really get the whole character till you see that character behave and take action in different situations. And so sometimes I think that can change vocal timbre, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, that's my thought.
And it should, I think, because I think
it should,
it's a sign that the actor is developing a relationship with this character the way you do in life with somebody else. You know, where you start with someone when you barely know them is very different than when you, and just knowing yourself too. I relate to myself very differently than I did 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I forget where I heard it, but someone said, like, knowing who you are is the privilege of a whole life. You know, I'm still in the process of figuring it out. And so, you know, our voices drift or make different choices because the character is changing, and our voices reflect that. And it's a beautiful dance. I find the actors that get stuck in a particular voice, I find, though it doesn't happen very often, most actors do drift into different voices over the course of a long-lived role. It just happens naturally. But I think if you get stuck in a particular way of doing a character, it's not as interesting. Characters are about growth. Like Matranga mentioned Breaking Bad. One of the great opening monologues, or the first season, he was talking about chemistry is about to change. Something starts here and then it becomes something else. And right there, he's explaining what he's going to go through without knowing that's what he's doing, right? And so it changes. And you as an audience member, your feelings change about that character when you see them or hear them in different scenarios. It's just like, and that's why we relate to these characters so strongly, because they're not just canvases that we can project ourselves onto. They come across as living, breathing people who change, and you have different opinions about, depending on the week you've had.
And if you make sure that you're always going after the truth of that moment with that character, then you really can't go wrong no matter what that character gets themselves into or what changes or what doesn't, you know? As long as you're after that, which, you know, all of us, you know, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't want to go in there and deliver that kind of authenticity.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good question.
These questions have been amazing. Have you noticed?
Agreed.
Hello.
Love your cosplay. Thank you. I'm so nervous. I'm not one to really ask questions during panels. I just like to
this is awesome then.
and listen to you guys talk.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
So going back to the mysteries of the show, there's just so many mystery, plot twists, and unexpected events that go on. I guess without getting too much into spoiler territory, I wanted to know what your most and least favorite unexpected event or death or just plot twist in general is or has been so far.
I'll start. It's one that I enjoy, but I also think it's really funny, and just the way it's finally kind of put in place is when they figure out that you know who the female Titan is. And it's such a thing where, like, even as the writer who's kind of reading ahead and trying to, like, stay ahead, one step ahead of the booth, I'm like, who is it? Who is it? And then when they finally discover, oh, it's her. I'm trying to avoid spoilers for those that haven't seen it, but most of us, I assume, know. But like, all that Trina's character,
Mikasa.
Mikasa, thank you, has to say is like, yeah, it looks like her. And I was like, oh. That was my favorite. I was like, that was so good, because it's right there, plain as day. But like, you're so trained by the show to like, no, there's an answer. I'm not. It's a great misdirection, hiding in plain sight. But that's my favorite moment where she's just like, it looks like. What are you talking? Of course it is. It looks like her. What is wrong with you people? And I was like, oh, she got us.
Yeah.
So basically, Mikasa would be able to spot Superman even if it was Clark Kent.
It's like Superman with glasses. What's wrong with you people? Why aren't you seeing it? Yeah. It's like, I was waiting for you guys to say something, right? I can't be the only one that knows. Like, she's so funny.
My most unexpected moment was the reveal of, and I'll try not to, I don't know, of who Raina and Bertolt are. Because I didn't have to do any acting in that moment. Zero acting was done because I, as the actor, was like, wait, what? Really? We're doing this right now? are you serious? Like,
It's just like,
Hey.
and they were like, great, we got the take. I was like, wait, I wasn't even acting. What are we doing here? But seriously, I was like, this cannot be happening. This is not how this is supposed to go. Like, I have no opinion on it. I have no influence on, how it goes. But yeah, I was just thoroughly shocked. I thought, well, there's got to be something. They're going to follow up on this. And no, that's just how we found out. So that was shocking to me. It's still shocking to me.
It's such a great moment. It's such a great moment because it's so offhanded. They're like, whoa. And when you think of it in context, it's like after all the hell everyone's been through, of course that's how they would find out. Like, oh, by the way, this. You're like, oh, sure. Like, we just not right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's such a strong reveal.
Yeah.
It almost kind of felt like, like when everything was happening for us, a couple of years ago, and like in the middle of when all stuff was happening, suddenly we started getting news from everywhere of like UFOs might be real, and everybody collectively was just like, not right now, please.
Now you want to
exactly.
talk about UFOs?
Right. It's so exactly. It's like you can only take so much traumatic information. Yeah.
It's so great.
It was really that was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
Just I make sure I'll just talk about like animated stuff, but everybody has seen at least the most recent animated thing, right? Raise hands for me, just so I could see. All right. So, not this most recent season, but the end of season 3. After the dust kind of settles and everything, and we get one answer, the answer that we've been waiting for a very long time, and that the unexpected twist of that for me was in learning that it wasn't an item, it wasn't anything like that. It was just the knowledge of the world is much bigger than we thought it was, and how they start to set up everything else, that like where we're going, and who has actually been messing with all of our characters for the most part, where Bertolt and Raina and Annie and all them actually came from. Like that was the biggest surprise. That was my favorite twist.
Yeah, that's
like,
awesome.
Oh, okay, now what are we gonna do? The walls came down, but now it seems we're still kind of trapped, and we still got to fight. Yeah.
I think that was my favorite turning point of the show also, because it just gave a whole new aspect of the show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
All right, how's it going? Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it. Attack on Titan, my favorite anime. Absolutely favorite anime.
Awesome.
So
Nice.
yeah, I got like even like the Erwin. I got the Erwin thing on me too with the Beast Titan. Yeah,
Nice.
It's like insane. So
You're gonna make me cry.
it was crazy. So I got a question for you, Erwin. I kind of already had the question. You already answered it, so I'm gonna go back to it again, anyways. So do you have like, let's see, any moments that you voice acted for Erwin that like gave you like goosebumps? Because there's like 2 moments I could think of that may have done it for you. You have like anything like that was like?
I know exactly the Erwin moment that gave me goosebumps. But
Yeah, it's his last moment.
The last moment.
And it's not even, and I'm not even talking about the speech. I'm talking about his very last moment where he's just remembering being a little child raising his hand in class. Kills me every time. That was my last line. I cried like a baby.
And you did it in 2 takes, you said?
I did that one in 1 take because I was just already emotionally devastated. Mike was like, "We got that. I'm not going to make you cry again."
Sometimes the
and we
first
got,
take
we got,
is the
but we got
best.
the My Soldier's Rage speech.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, it was really great too because like when Aaron, who's a close friend, was adapting it, I asked him. I was like, "Were you like quoting Dylan Thomas, the poet, who says rage? Who's the famous quote, "Rage against the dying of the light"?" And he did. He's like, "Yes, I wanted My Soldier's Rage," which is kind of what they were doing in the Japanese anyway. But the order was slightly different. He wanted to match the cadence of the Dylan Thomas poem, and I'm like, "You son of a." But it was great. That moment is still one of my favorite moments as an actor. But the one that gives me chills is the very last line he said. But yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All
So
right.
I know I have to jet because I've got a
Yeah,
photo
I got
op.
at 2 o'clock. He's got an appointment. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. These gentlemen.